Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder of videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to another DM's Guild review, my written and video review series where I take a look at the adventures and supplemental material at the Dungeon Masters Guild website. This video will be reviewing the Encounter SWAT Special Wizards and Tactics, designed by Oz Mills for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. A review copy has been provided for the purposes of this review. If you enjoy my videos, consider using my affiliate links for your DM's Guild shopping and supporting me via patreon.com/RogueWatson. Shouts to my platinum patrons Joe, Will, Tiny Dancer, Nick R, Andy, Chris, Manuel, Basil, and Travis. And gold patrons RPG Papercrafts, Charming Grenade, Pretty Boy Nima, Marcos Dade, Vicente, Gilberto, Sean AK, Cert 2B, Adam, Dead Desert Lion, Sam, Ross, Limpy Spuds, Jerome, Fatboy 619, Scalenia, and Nick C. Thank you all very much for your support. So if we were to break down how the campaign structure goes, you've got the full campaign, then you've got adventures, which are basically small chapters of a campaign, then you've got layers, which are usually like a single dungeon of the adventure of the campaign, and then you've got the encounter, which is just a single event, typically combat related because we're talking D&D. That's how it breaks down. SWAT, Special Wizards and Tactics, is a single encounter, so it's just one single event that happens. In this case, it's a home invasion while the players are chilling at their, ideally at their home base, and the local authorities bust down their doors. So it is not, unfortunately, a full-on adventure where the players are playing as the authorities of a city and they have to escort a French crime boss through the streets, and Colin Farrell and Jeremy Renner have a white guy dick off. That SWAT movie, by the way, is an alright movie from what I remember. Early 2000s, kind of generic action movie, super alright. This is not that, though. This is just a single encounter. I think it's a pretty solid one, though. And, you know, the urban encounter is a underused idea, and especially, you know, when you're out in the forest or a cave, whatever, you can obviously do all these campsite ambushes and attacks, but you typically don't attack the players when they're chilling in their home base in a city, and this actually gives a really cool way of doing that. It provides an apartment building as essentially the location where they're being attacked, but we also get bonus locations in the form of the outside streets and a tavern. So you could easily plop this into any kind of scenario where the players are just chilling somewhere and they've got a team of enemies that are hunting them. The idea is the team that's hunting them is the local authorities, and we do get some hooks and reasons for why they would be hunting them. Maybe there's some kind of corruption. Maybe the players have unfortunately got caught up in some crimes, or maybe the players are actually doing too well at solving crimes, and then the local authorities want to actually crack down on that and send their crack team in to take out the players. Now, the important thing is the enemy team is all unique stat blocks, which is really cool. Bulwark, Wandslinger, and Martial Artist, which I think that's pretty cool that we get all these unique stat blocks. And they're designed to incapacitate the players and not kill them, which I think is an important concept you need to get across to the players, especially because players most likely, even in an urban setting, are just killing and asking questions almost never. Now, this one doesn't even have any kind of, you know, there's no rights being called, there's no anything about that. They're just busting down the door and attacking the players head on. I think it's a good situation. I like that. Well, it's not a good situation for the players, but it's a dynamic situation. We do get maps that are kind of provided in that Dyson logo style. It's not a map style that I personally like, but I do appreciate that I can visualize what this actual apartment building looks like. And I like that the fact, I mean, the title does have tactics in the title, and sure enough, it does actually explain how the team breaks down the door, the fact that they it's actually a really cool setting. So never where the players are, and you're supposed to kind of let them describe how they're chilling at home and everything, which if I was a player, I'd be very suspicious about, like, well, why do you care? Because I'm fixing to attack you. One of them busts down the main door, and then one of the walls explodes in from the neighboring apartment, and there's more of them there, and then one of the freaking halfling martial artists, like, swings in into the balcony, so they just kind of, and of course one of the wizards just pops in there from teleporting. So it's a really cool dynamic battlefield as all these enemies suddenly appear right in the middle of where the players were just kind of chilling, and then, you know, roll for initiative. It's very, very short. That's pretty much all you get. I do like that there's some flavor text here that's unique to some of the stat blocks and events that happen. For example, if the Wandslinger is attacked, but the attack misses, then there's a neat little flavor text thing for that. The biggest problem I have with it. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the map style personally, and especially if you're going to do a single encounter that relies on a tactical battlefield, having a really good map could really elevate your product. And in this case, it doesn't do that for me at all. I mean, I like that we got a map here, but A, we're not given separate player map handouts to actually use, and B, it's that black and white, very low-grade quality that I know a lot of people enjoy, but I am not one of those people. I would really like just a gorgeous map to be able to work with, something I can do on a virtual tabletop. But the biggest problem I actually have, aside from the maps, is the unique stat blocks. And I like that we got them. They seem pretty interesting, but they're extremely low level. They're all CR 1/2. The wizards only have some second level spell slots and not even any really big combat ones. It's all, which I kind of appreciate that because they are supposed to be the kind that come in and incapacitate rather than kill. So I like the fact that they get like command, hideous laughter, hold person, misty step. That part makes sense. The problem is they're just too low level, and this is, as you can see, designed for 4th level characters. It specifically says on the cover, 4th level. Now granted, 4th level, you're right before hitting that big jump at 5th level where you get extra attack, you get the proficiency bonus and all that stuff, you get 3rd level spell slots. So I appreciate that it's still tier 1, but a 4th level party is still very, very powerful. And these enemies, I mean, the hit points is the biggest problem alone. Between 10 and 15 hit points, that's like level 1 PCs we're talking about, maybe a weak level 2. And you're supposed to be 4th level PCs breaking down the door. You get 5 of them, but they're not very strong, plus 4 to hit. These are very, very low level enemies, and you could assume that the party is fully rested because they're literally chilling at home, and this could very likely be their only encounter for the day. So all of those things make me feel like not only does this need to be a challenging encounter, but it needs to be an extra challenging encounter, unless the idea is that the authorities have no idea how strong the party is, and it's designed to not even have them break a sweat. Like, if that was part of the design process, then okay, I can see why they're so weak. But I would imagine if you're going to do a home invasion, really rough up the players and really make them, swear vengeance and try to track down and the local authorities or create this big plot or whatever you're going to do with this encounter, I would imagine you want to make it be a little more significant, especially because there's some fun tactics being involved where these bulwarks set their shields down and they're firing their crossbows, and the wand slingers are firing off hold persons to try to incapacitate people, and then the martial artist drops this flash bomb to blind everybody. Like, there's some cool tactics involved, but they're just not that strong, and they're only, with like 10 and 15 hit points, they're only going to last like a round, even if there's 5 of them. So there was a huge problem with the balance, and unfortunately balance is the one thing that's always tricky for me to comment on because obviously I'm not playing these as part of the review process. I'm just looking at them at a glance, but even looking at them at a glance, like, way too low of level, and I don't think they would last very long at all for 4th level. I'm thinking maybe for as is written, this would be scary for a 2nd level party who's fully rested. If for 4th level, I think you would at least need to double, if not triple, their hit points. I think you might be able to get away with leaving a lot of their stats and abilities and spells the same, but I'm thinking just make those hit points just so they last a little bit longer. I mean, the martial artist with a 14 armor class, Wand Slinger's got a 12 armor class and doesn't have shield up. Every single attack is hitting this poor Wand Slinger, and then it's only going to take probably 1 hit and going down. Like, it just doesn't. So unfortunately, that's a big deal because this whole product is just this one encounter, and these are the unique enemies you're using for the encounter. So it exacerbates the fact that I don't think this is very well balanced for 4th level. Again, this could work for 1st or 2nd level PCs very early on as a fun adventure hook if you're going to use this low level of NPCs, or if you're actually going to want to use it for later in the level for 3rd or 4th level. Then these need to be way scaled up, and at the very least, at a glance, I think the hit points would need to be probably triple. I mean, a 4th level fighter has 30 to 40 hit points at this point, so I think the bulwark needs to be at least equal to that. I would like to see, especially if you want to drive home the fact that players shouldn't be going around town just doing whatever they want. If you create a situation where they send the authorities after you and the players wipe the floor with them, then why wouldn't you think like, oh, we're just way more powerful than even the guard, we can do anything we want. So I think you need to make the guard even more powerful, or at least equal to the players at this level, to give them pause and realize, okay, we need to like not murder these guys, we need to work with the system, we need to incapacitate them and find out further. Otherwise you're just adding fuel to the fire about the players can just really throw their weight around, which is always, I think, a problem with a lot of D&D play because the players get so much more powerful than the average person. So that's definitely a problem that I have. But to bring it home with more good news, the bonus content, we've got the apartment building here, which is laid out in terms of the tactics, and then we get 2 new locations, which is awesome. Especially you could use this as if it spills over into the city streets, or if you just want to use a ambush location there, and then the tavern, which is probably the more commonly used location, since taverns are used for everything when it comes to home base or rest stop. The maps are also provided here where the tactics team can break in, and there's little icons to where they are. I don't believe we get separate maps for these. So, on the one hand, I don't like the style of map in general, but also we can't even use these maps. This is just for kind of visualization purposes. So it would have been nice to actually have that, especially, again, if you're going to have your entire product be just a single encounter, then definitely give me as good of maps as you can get. I would love it if you splurged on maps, give me the full map art style and everything, and then obviously give those as separate DM and player versions so we can work with that, because I think it's a pretty well crafted encounter. I just wish, I'm not sure where the balance level is there, because I think a fully rested team of 4th level players is going to wipe the floor with these poor guards. They're not even going to get able to do their cool stuff. Alright, so pros and cons for SWAT, Special Wizards and Tactics. Pros, detailed home invasion encounter. It's a very dynamic encounter. I think it's a neat idea. Essentially taking the concept of being at a campfire and having an enemy encounter roll in there. This is the urban equivalent of that, where you're in what you think is a safe spot and then you get ambushed. But in this case, it's actually the local authorities ambushing you, which I think could lead to some really cool adventure hooks, or be the culmination of things that the players have already been doing. Pros, 3 NPC unique stat blocks and tactics. I appreciate that these aren't just, 2 guards plus 3 mages or whatever. We actually get 1 slinger and bulwark. I like that. And pros, 2 extra ambush locations aside from... I think the apartment building is pretty cool. It's on the 3rd level, and there's some, neat things going on there. I love the neighboring apartment getting blown up. But you've got a tavern there, and you've got the city streets if you want to use different scenarios. Cons... the maps are always going to be a con for me. The fact that we don't get separate player version maps to work with, and I'm just not a big fan of the black and white dice and logo style maps in general. And then the cons, the actual balance level just feels way, way, way too easy for 4th level PCs, given that these are the NPCs that we're working with, and the hit points are all 15 or lower. These poor guys are going to get their butts kicked. Final verdict, the party is on the receiving end of a home invasion by the local authorities, resulting in a dynamic encounter in the underused urban setting. Thank you to everyone for watching this video review. You can see my written review at roguewatson.com. You can support my work at patreon.com/roguewatson. You can follow our own D&D adventures here on my YouTube channel. Thank you.